today from NAR in Washington, D.C., which is pretty exciting. And she's going to be talking to us today about data security. She is the Senior Technology Policy Representative at the National Association of Realtors, where she lobbies Congress and federal agencies on tech policy issues of importance to the real estate industry. Prior to joining NAR, Melanie was an advocate for technology policy issues for an international technology trade association, a consumer advocacy organization, a San Francisco-based software startup, and a multinational financial services company. Melanie is a graduate of the University of San Francisco School of Law and the University of California at San Diego. So I'm going to turn it over to Melanie, and she's going to enlighten us about data security.
Thanks, Maura. Good morning. So this is the section of the program I say you guys come here today and you learn lots of great technology tips and tools about how to do more business and kind of exciting things. And my 20 minutes of the program is a little bit like telling you that you have to eat your vegetables, because I'm going to talk about something that's really not that sexy or that fun, but it's actually very important. And I think current events would tell you, makes everyone recognize why privacy and data security is really very important. I found this slide the other day that I found really impactful. 47% of U.S. adults have had their personal information exposed by hackers. And I know even in the last couple of years, right, there's been the Target breach and the Michaels breach and Marcus, and I know myself, I experienced the issue. I think probably I was involved in the Target hack, and I actually got a phone call from my bank a few months ago asking me, could I please come down to a local branch and get a new debit card, because they were worried that my financial information may be at risk. And luckily, there was no impact. Nobody got to any money in my account, but I had to kind of go down and go through the hassle of doing that. So data security is definitely something that's starting to impact all of us in our daily lives. And what we've learned at NAR is that our members, our realtor members, are really not that conscious and aware of all of the personally identifiable information, sensitive information that they collect, that you all collect in the course of your business, and really what you need to do about that and how you need to take care of your clients' information. So that's what I'm here to do today, and so it might be a little scary at the beginning, but I will tell you that at the end I have some good resources, and hopefully I'll offer some good, helpful information to you. So here's the first step, thinking about all the places that you may be collecting what is termed personally identifiable sensitive information. You collect earnest money checks. Those may have financial account information at the bottom of the check. We find that some people still collect driver's licenses when they take people out on home tours. That's considered personally identifiable information. Any type of social security number that may still be on an old form, considered personally identifiable information. Rental applications are full of financial information and personally identifiable information, as are HUD-1 documents. And the other thing that we have found too, we've learned anecdotally, I think it was an NAR president a year or so ago that used the tag phrase that realtors were the heart of the deal. And that's true. You folks are the individuals, the individual contacts with your clients. And we find that sometimes you may be the recipient or the transmitter of mortgage information, not necessarily because that's technically what you need to do as a realtor, but because you're the person that has the personal connection with your client and you want to be helpful. And that's great, and we don't want to stop you from doing that sort of thing, but we want to make you aware that in so doing, you may be taking in and collecting sensitive financial information, and that may expose you to liability. So y'all need to know, what you need to do about that. So this is just a map that shows all of the states in the United States that have data security laws on the books, and essentially 46 different states in the United States do have data security or data breach laws. Right now, and I'll get to it in a minute, but right now there's not a comprehensive federal data breach law, so there's a whole patchwork. And Georgia definitely has a data breach law. And so here's the title of the Georgia data breach law is the Personal Information Protection Act. And the other thing to be aware of at the state level is that the majority of state data breach laws do not have to deal with the state where you may be resident in. So the way it works is if you're holding information, for example, for a consumer who lives in Tennessee, even though your business is located in Georgia, you would need to be complying with the Tennessee law. It has to do with the state of residence of the consumer whose information you're holding. So how that relates to all your businesses is you need to be aware of how many different states you may be holding consumer information on, and you would need to be able to be compliant with all of those various state data breach laws. So that can get a little complicated. So the Georgia data breach law basically just says if you experience a breach, if for some reason your client's information has been exposed, you would need to notify them without unreasonable delay. And if there are more than 10,000 consumers involved in a breach, consumer reporting agencies need to be notified. And so this is just, in addition to thinking about all of the different types of personally identifiable information you collect, you also need to think about all the various places you might be collecting this information. And as our business becomes more and more technical and online, there are a lot more places where you need to think about securing that information. So you need to think about your email. You need to think about any mobile devices that you're using in your business. You need to think about hard drive databases or places where you're storing that information. Cloud storage, if you're using Dropbox or Google Docs or Google Drive, and any kind of CRM software that you might be using. Those are all places where you need to at least either inquire into the service that you're using about what their security standards are, or be thinking about implementing some kind of security standards on your own. So I'm going to talk for a minute about efforts at the federal level. Like I mentioned earlier, at the moment there is no comprehensive federal data breach or data security law, but it's been an issue that Congress has been considering. I'm trying to think about this. I've been working in the tech policy world for, I think, almost 15 years, and I think I've been working on federal data breach legislation that entire time. This is an issue, if you pay attention to politics, you know that there's almost nothing that the Republicans and the Democrats agree on these days. But actually, data breach is one of those issues that's very bipartisan. And the other thing about it, too, is this is now an issue where industry is actually asking for there to be a federal data breach law. And you don't often have industry asking to be regulated either. And the reason for that is because there have been such a proliferation of state laws, any business that's transacting business across state lines would rather deal with one federal standard than 46 different state standards. And then again, this is also the White House is quite interested in this issue, as is the Commerce Department. So the point is, it's a point of focus for sort of all policymakers, and it's probably just a matter of time before there's a federal law. The good news is for most of the state laws, if you encrypt your data, that will be an exemption to any type of notification requirement. And what encryption is sort of like the secret decoder ring that you used to get in a cereal box when you were a kid. Encryption takes your data and scrambles it so that if someone were to be able to get into your laptop or get on your phone, get past your password, and actually get to your data, it would just be a jumbled mess. They wouldn't be able to see anything that would be meaningful. And encryption requires software. And the advice that I normally give folks when I give this talk is the easiest way, if you want to learn about encryption and learn how to use it on your systems and in your business. There's a website called lifehacker.com, and it's all one word, life, Lifehacker. And if you just go to lifehacker.com and type in encryption, there are several, search on the term encryption, there are several articles. I was just looking over what they had there last night. There's one, I believe, that's called Encryption for Beginners, and it literally walks you through the steps of what you need to do to encrypt your data. And so I would highly recommend that. So we're going to talk a little bit about just what to think about in respect to your businesses, in respect to data security. The first thing to think about is to actually really be aware of what it is you're collecting. Sometimes we just take all this information in without really thinking about it. And really the first step in a data protection program is to analyze the data that you're taking in, know where you're collecting it, know where you're storing it, know who you might be sharing it with, and then also stop and think, do I really need to hold on to this, or is this just something that I kind of do unconsciously? And if there's sensitive personally identifiable information that you've identified that you collect and that you don't really need to do your business, you should dispose of it in a safe way. Don't hold on to the information. Well, you know, I guess what I would say is if you've collected a driver's license number because you're using a house tour, don't just keep it in your file for any random reason. You know, get rid of it as soon as you no longer need it. Or financial information. Once a transaction is over, if you don't need your client's financial information anymore, dispose of it in a safe way. Basically what I'm saying is don't just sort of keep this stuff in your files for no good reason, because then all that does is create liability for you, and it's not adding any value to your business. And if you do collect it, like I said, think about what you're doing with that data and make sure that you're storing it safely. So think about encryption, or pay attention to the services that you use and make sure that they've got strong security. If you're using Dropbox, I think there's actually, I was again checking on Dropbox last night. They don't automatically encrypt the storage data. Dropbox encrypts transmission of the data, but you can go in and there are free services that they offer that will allow you to place extra levels of security on that data. And then finally, NAR has put together resources that we hope will be helpful to you. We just launched last month an online course on privacy and data security. It's available on Realtor University. And right now it's actually half off. I think it's $20 for a 3-hour course. We've also put together a data security and privacy toolkit. It's available on realtor.org. And it kind of walks you through the process that I talked about. It walks you through how to do a data audit for your business. It has model data breach notification policies, model privacy policies, model data breach plans. And so hopefully it kind of gives you everything you would need to do to think about how to secure your data. And then also on realtor.org, we have other articles and resources to keep you up to date on what's going on in data privacy. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have. I realize this is a topic that we don't often talk about in real estate. Right, so that was a denial of service attack, which means it was probably hackers that got in and took the site. And basically what they're doing is taking the site down. It's a little too soon right now to tell, you know, what may have happened to any of that information, but I learned about it last night. Well, like I said, I think in the again, if you just the easy thing to do is just go on realtor.org and type in data privacy and security, and the links will come up. Any other questions? All right, great. Thank you very much.